Here we go. So nice to see everybody. Have a seat on something to elevate your hips, cross your shins, flex your feet, press your hands into your thighs, lift your spine up nice and tall. Drop your shoulders away from your ears as you keep your spine lifted, chin lifted, eyes closed. Take another deep breath in, press your hands down again, lift your spine up nice and tall. Squeeze your shoulder blade, not your shoulder, your back ribs towards each other. Stretch your side rib forward. Pick your front rib up. And then really let your shoulders drop around to keep that big dome chest. Close your eyes again. Let your chin stay lifted. Keep your feet flexed. You can let your arms relax, but just be aware of the tendency of your shoulders to want to do the work of your core and your back. All right, friends, here we are in our practice, in your practice. There's always a lot of talk about yoga being about community and about helping each other and giving to each other, and it has an infinite amount of that. We're all here partially because of that, but we're all also here because there's an individuality to this that shouldn't be lost in this. I hope that you're not doing yoga for the community. I hope that on some level, whether you're, a little bit of practice or a lot of practice, that there's a recognition of your individual power and your individual self in this work, that your experience, even though it is similar, is very different than others. But what we feel is the same. We feel happy, sad, anger, shame, tightness, irritation, right? All of that. We just all have different variations or stories we tell about it. And that's a big duality in this. That we work in a community for a wholly individual practice. So as we go through the practice today, my friends, recognize the effect that your work is having on you first. Give yourself to your growth, to your change, even if you're practicing next to somebody in this room. They don't exist. Be in your place. Because as I've always said, what happens to you and your yoga mat ultimately gets off the yoga mat. You find peace in the yoga mat, you find peace in the world, and people will find peace around you. You find some healing, some happiness, it goes outside of you. I'm sure all of you have a story in your head or can think of one moment where you learned something in yoga that you shared with somebody else, whether it was, I learned that yoga helps and I got my friend who was having pain in it, now they're better. You did that. You created community through your individual growth and healing. You shared it. So my friends, growing your individualism, acknowledging your strength and power can create community. Well, especially because it's not at the cost of it. You hurt no one by being on your mat. You hurt no one by asking your questions. You take away from no one by getting the guidance you need. Ultimately, you only grow community around you by speaking your voice, your questions, showing you're happy, you're sad, your anger, your fear, your irritation, your shame, or whatever. Because like I said, it's all the same underneath. We all just tell different stories about it and celebrate the myriad ways that we all see the world. Bring the palms together at the chest, thumbs touching the sternum. Fingers spread slightly apart. Blow them shortly 3 times and begin. Take a breath. Om. 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 Bow your head. Salute the essence of yoga inside yourself. Bring your palms into your lap. Let your head rise and your eyes open. So nice to see everybody. Very groovy. I'm glad that all of you sat around through that. Let's get some work done. Come on to a standing position. Warm the legs up first. Move back into our seated work. Really kind of get into those that hip movement. So Tadasana, please. Thighs together, feet together. Camera up. All right, so as you bring your thighs together, feet together, we won't detail this out too much, but always just kind of check in first with the feeling of your body. Where are your legs? What are your hips doing? Where are your shoulders, neck, arms? And even if you don't have a way to describe them, just kind of feel them. Right? Feel what's going on with you. So that when you come back to this point, after the standing poses and after the seated poses, you have a base level of reading to work from. So thighs together, feet together, legs nice and active. Find out what active means to you. Is one leg work and one leg doesn't? Detect where your mind is going. Is it staying firmly in your space on your mat, or is it being involved in things off of your mat? Worries about life, money, whatever. Silly songs, good songs. And as I've said before, one of the issues with the Eastern way of thinking of, we do all this stuff to ultimately let go, particularly in Buddhism. Well, we often come to it because we want the benefits. So can you even recognize that you might be just focusing on what's in it for me? I have this idea of what I want. Give it to me now. I don't know if you're going to get it, but you might get something that's better if you just listen. Listen to you. Pick your right knee up in front of you, knee the height of your hip, left leg nice and long. Use a wall or a chair around you if you need for support. Take your right foot back behind you, squeezing your thighs together, your knees together, pulling your right heel as close to your glute as you can get without your hands. So you can see by Tristan here, she's got the knees are touching. She's bending her back knee, pulling it up towards her glute. Getting a hamstring cramp, she shares that. Take your right knee out in front of you. Place your right foot on your inner left thigh for Vrksasana. Vrksasana. Push the foot into the thigh, thigh into the foot. Make your left leg work enough that you feel the left hip come under you so you can stand up taller through the abdominals. And when I mean let the left leg come under you more, it's not your left knee, it's your left hip. Pull this big left bone under you so it makes you wobble a little bit. So not just your hip joints or your pelvis is working, your core and your leg, all of you is in it. If every part of you is shaking a little bit, that just shows how much you're carrying around. That's all your chitti vritti, right? Bring your foot down to Tadasana. Don't worry, you'll get a chance to do more. Pick your left knee up in front of you. Knee the height of the hip. Right leg nice and long. Pulling the right hip under you a little bit, not from the knee, but flexing those outer hip muscles, which can be challenging for a lot of us with tight hips or such, and pull them across to the other side. So it will probably feel like your left hip's lifting up from that. The trick is, though, is to still lift the spine. So over time, the left hip will drop more naturally. Take your left foot back behind you, calf together, knee together, just warming up the legs. If you wobble, you wobble. It's all right. Bend that left knee, pull that heel close, make that hamstring wake up and work, make the hip move a little bit more. Take your left leg out front, place your foot to your inner right thigh. Push the foot to the thigh, thigh into the foot. Try not to twist your hips with this. Try to keep your pelvis still facing forward, but your left thigh flexes and stretches down towards the knee. Nice jobs. Good use of the chair there, Lena. I'm glad you remembered that technique. Good pose. Nice, everybody. All right, bring the leg down. Pick your right foot up and again, take your right foot to your inner left thigh. So Vrksasana again. Bring the palms together at the chest. And as you push your right foot to your left thigh into the foot, you're making this work. Remember, it's about, for a lot of us that can let the hip pop out, the standing leg hip, pull that left hip under, and then push your hands firm together so you feel, if you can, I mean, you might be using a balance piece, but if you can for a moment, push your hands together so you feel your shoulder blades draw down your back. That doesn't mean you push them together and then sway them down. With your shoulder blades still natural wide, push your palms together and drag them down. And think about the arm, the humerus between the elbow and the shoulder. Pull into the shoulder a little bit, not to push them forward or up, but they drag in towards the shoulder a little bit. And then stretch your arms up as best you can while still keeping that arm moved into the socket, and you're lifting from the shoulder blades ascending upward. So your upper back has to get the lift. It's hard. It's really hard to do, to press the palms in and keep them pressed and do that ascended lift of the arms, especially if you're wobbling. I know, I do it all the time. I fall out of this pose pretty much every day. Almost 20 years in it, just still wobble all day. Take a few deep breaths, do the best you can, even if you fall out, try for a minute. Even if you like fall out and then you get back to this to flex the back to get your chest lifted, that's okay. Even just doing this and slowly moving it so you learn to extend and balance. Switch legs. One of the reasons that's so challenging to lift your arms up with that is not because you're pushing your weight of your balance and weight higher. When you lift your spine up, the vertebrae of your spine shake a little bit. And so your back muscle has to do more work instead of compression of the spinal column. That's why in standing poses, a lot of ones where you're lifting the chest, the arms go up. Left foot to inner right thigh. At least I think that's why. I don't know. I wasn't around when these things were invented. I probably won't be around when they're changed again, where one day we find out overhead probably isn't good for you. Left foot to right thigh, pull that right hip under so you feel the abdominals and the spine lift a little bit. Really challenge that outer hip joint to really do some work, those muscles across your pelvis. And then if you can, bring the palms together. And even if this is your balance point, what Tristan's demoing for right now, this is okay. This is good enough. But really press your palms together so you challenge your shoulder blades to come down your back, because now the muscles under your shoulder blades are flexed. Your shoulder joint, the bone, the humerus, pulls into the socket, and then keep it in and lift up from the shoulder blades ascending. So you get that lengthening of your upper back. It's very similar to down dog. What happens in your shoulder blades in down dog? I love it, Helena. I love the one hand ball, one hand bounce technique. It's perfect. Even with your arms up, you still got to press. If your arms are up in the air, you got to press the palms together as much as you pressed when they were low. That is a different lesson that this will be taught more in the future as classes continue for later stuff. There's a bunch of interesting technique and stuff in there that I'll share later. We're continuing, actually heading towards finish of our leg work for now. Bring the arms down, bring the leg down. Very good. Tadasana. Take your arms back behind you and take your right hand and grab your left wrist and climb your left hand as close to your left elbow or above it if you can. You can grab the left bicep as you can go. Right hand goes behind you, start at your left wrist and then slide it, climb it, move it up the left arm as high as you can go. Regardless of where your left hand is, your right arm is moving across your low to mid back. Press your left arm, not your left shoulder, because if you press your left shoulder forward, it does this. Press your left arm into the right hand so you feel your chest lift up a little bit. Yeah. When you press your left arm into your hand, you get a little bit of lift across the large chest muscle called pec major and a stretch or a movement to pec minor. This is very important. This will also stretch your right shoulder if you're tight like I am. Can open up the front right side. It will also help the neck. Now hold this. Trying to think here, how about how mean I need to be today? She's giving me a look, you can't see. Step your right foot back about a foot. Small step. Turn the top of your foot flat to the floor, pressing your toenails down, straightening both legs. So there's a little bit of an extension back of that leg. That right thigh has to flex. Your foot may cramp, I'm happy for you. Left leg has to be strong, pulling that left hip under so it's not sticking out to the side. Lift your chest up, push that left arm forward so your chest lifts more. And when you want more, as I know so many of you do, slide your right foot back a little farther and let it begin to float off the floor while you're still working the arms, while you're still keeping both legs straight. Move that arm so even though your abdomen and your lower ribs come forward a little bit, your body weight shifts forward, you're still lifting that upper chest bone nice and high and back even a little. Goes after you. Bring your right leg into a landing. Switch your arms. Left arm behind you. Grab your right wrist. Climb the hand up as high as you can, even above the elbow if you're capable. Once you get a hold of that arm, whether it's the forearm or bicep, push the arm into the hand like it's trying to come forward so that you get that chest ascension. Once that chest ascension is there, shoulder blades are in place. Just slide your left foot back, the foot, turning the top of the foot to the floor. Push the right arm forward. Turn the top of the left foot flat to the floor, push the toenails down. Stretch both legs long. Actively extend those legs so that any lift or backward bend that comes to your spine and your upper body does not come from you bending the knees or slouching into the legs. If you want more, slide the foot back a little farther, letting it begin to float, but work the upper body just as much. So you begin teaching the upper back to lift, even when it would be easier for your balance to slouch. What this does is start to flex those upper back muscles. It starts to get the rounded posture out of place and moves those tight, the connections from your chest to your shoulder, even up into your jaw. Interesting stuff gets changed in the jaw when you do this for long periods of time. Take a breath, bring the leg in for a landing. Turn so you're facing the long side of your mat. Step your left foot forward about 3 foot. So nice. Take your right hand behind you and grab your left wrist. Do not climb the hand higher up the bicep or arm at this time. Just grab the left wrist. Now the right hand is moving across the left side. So bend both elbows so the cross point of your hand and wrist is about where your sacral plate or your tailbone is. It doesn't have to be that low. It doesn't have to be here. So for Tristan, it's on her low back roughly, but the cross point here is in line with the center of your body. Take a breath, and before we go into the forward part of this, or did I bury the lead too much? Push your left forearm and wrist into your right hand so that left shoulder has to pull back. And then push your right hand into your left wrist and forearm so your right shoulder has to pull back. So these 2 points are pressing hard into each other behind you in the center line. So there's going to be some pulling open. You can't press them in. Like if you do press them in and forward, you're going to crink your neck. Pull the shoulder, push, pull back, push, pull back. Fold forward at the hips, taking your chest down towards the thigh bone. Still working the hands and wrist. You can, of course, reach for the floor if you're going to lose balance, but I encourage you to challenge yourself to not like instantly jump your hands down. Try to keep your hands working as you descend so you really begin to restructure the shoulder joint and things like that. Take a nice deep breath. Keep your left leg long, keep your arms working, roll your right hip forward slightly. So even though your chest may come up and your feet and legs may wobble, it's okay. You firm them up, you try to experiment with a moment for removing the wobble. Don't try to hold rigidly still, but also see what you can do about paying so much attention that the big wobbles turn into small. And if what you're doing is not working for you, think about maybe challenging it in a different way. If you always think, well, I have to roll my foot in, it doesn't work, push down through your outer foot. This is how the teachers figure out the big quote unquote techniques and secrets of yoga, is we just experiment. And as I said before, even though yoga creates community, it is solely an individual thing. Bring your body up, step your left foot back to your right foot, step your right foot forward, and then your left hand grabs your right wrist. Once your left hand has your right wrist firmly, push your right wrist into your left hand, moving the shoulder back. Push your left hand into your right wrist forearm, moving the shoulder back. Exhale, straight legs, down you go. I would rather you keep your legs straight and only go down a little than bend your knee and go down a lot. That's a whole different game. This is about working your pelvis strength in your balance and really stretching some muscles that need to stretch while also flexing muscles that we sit on a lot and may not get the full work they do. Horseback riders have really strong muscles in these areas because they grip with their legs all day. Other issues elsewhere, but. Couple more breaths. Let your chest come down even though you're working the arms. Bring your body up. Step your right foot back. Lost my train of thought. That's okay. Grab something to sit on, a bolster, blanket, or block. Have a seat with both legs stretched out in front of you. That's your default. Have a seat. Stretch your legs out in Dandasana. Both legs nice and straight. Move the camera down here so you can get a view of legs and or corgi. So with both legs stretched out straight in front of you, Dandasana, take a moment and make this pose, even though this may be simple for you or one you've done a lot. Who cares, right? This is your time. Learn something out of it. Put the same effort you had in all your standing poses into this, even though your mind might be treating this as, well, it's easier, I'm seated, or I have all these feelings about my standing poses. This is a pose too. It gets all the work. Take your fingertips onto the bolster next to your hips, lift your spine up, flex your thighs, flex your toes back. Push your calf, your heel towards the floor. And can you work your legs in a similar way that you did in Tadasana, where you were pulling the femur bones in towards the center? You were lifting up off the lower abdominal. Your shoulders were wide, but down. Bring your palms together at your chest for a moment. Push your palms tight together. Don't let your elbows wing. Keep them low. And move your shoulder blade, press your palms flat so you can move your shoulder blades into your back and down, moving the bone right here, the humerus, into the socket. And now take both arms up, still moving the bone into the socket, but the shoulder blades will lift, moving some level of the upper back. Easier now. No. So when you ascend, even if you start to go up and your elbow, you feel like you're as high as you can go and your elbows are bent, and you can't feel the strength of the arms or the back, bring your palms down to whatever level. This is an experiment so that you can feel your upper back muscles flex in the same way. That flexion that lifts the chest and you go up. When I'm slouched, I can only get to like here, deep elbows are bent. So even if you have to come down to this point to feel it, it's better. You're working that upper back because we want to start getting the upper back muscles to move more. Legs are working. Treat this pose just as you would the hardest inversion, because every pose is your practice, right? You pay good money. You deserve everything out of this. Keep your arms up or in whatever level they are for you. Stretch your chest forward like you're trying to press your heels down and lift your buttock up, stretching your chest abdomen over the upper body, or the abdomen over the legs, stretch the upper body over. And then when you've gone as far as you can, take a breath, bring your arms down so your fingertips are touching the floor next to your knee, hip, thigh, whatever you want. Notice how you probably feel like you can go down more, but your shoulders have come forward. This is not abnormal. Part of the back movement is getting the straight rigidness out of our spine. We have to let this flex and bend. So now, take your left hand to the outside of your right calf. Take your left hand's outside of right calf. Take your right hand and grab your left tricep. Palm up like this. So while you're holding it, pull your right elbow to the right so you feel your upper back stretch, and push your left hand into your right calf as hard as you can. This will make the muscles right below your traps, right between your shoulder blades, flex a bit and widen. Yes. It's kind of like doing eagle arms, except modified more for getting directly to the upper portion of your shoulder blade. Left hand pushes into the calf, right hand pulls on left. Don't grab your elbow on this, only touch the tricep, bicep, or maybe the forearm. If you grab your elbow and pull, it could hurt your elbow. You can even bend your left elbow to help pull, that's good too. When you're sitting here pulling, take a breath, stretch a little deeper by bending your left and right elbow, still pulling them apart, and see if you can extend down a little further. Don't hold your spine rigid. So when you've gone down a little further, take a breath, Go from your back bottom rib, lift it towards the upper ribs and let yourself round a little bit, but still pulling with those arms a lot. Take a belly breath, draw the abdomen back towards the spine so you make some space, and then pull with your arms to lower yourself a little more. So your forward bend does not become how rigid can my spine be, but how much can I widen and lengthen it and the hamstrings simultaneously. Good. Bring your body up. How's that feel? Switch arms. Right hand comes to outer left thigh. Left hand comes under the right arm, grabs the bicep, tricep. FYI, for those of you keeping track, this is totally new. Never been taught before. This is like you're getting a single off the new album. I like how she left that. Push your right hand into your left calf. Pin both elbows. Pull with your left arm. Really pull on that right tricep bicep so you feel this action happen in the upper back first. You're not rounding forward. You're broadening wide. And they come forward. The shoulders come forward a little bit, but it's not you compressing your chest down. You're widening those shoulders and those blades without lowering the rib cage, without compressing your breathing. You should still be able to take a nice deep breath in this. If you can't, you're pulling your ribs down. You're not opening your back. Pull with the arms. Bend your right elbow more. Lower your stretch over. Go for extension first. Make your legs work like Tadasana. Take the belly breath. Pull the core back. But then lift from your bottom ribs to your upper ribs over. Ooh, there you go. While making the arms work in this deep pull. So your upper back is not just kind of hanging with this, but it is broadening and stretching as much as your lower back and your hamstrings. How's that feel?
Good. Very tiring.
Yeah. Yeah. If you feel tiring in your upper back or body doing this, good. That's with the side that probably needs to get active or stretch to rebalance what's going on your right side. I have found in my experimenting with this that my right side doesn't get as tired as my left. My right side's stronger, but my left side's more flexible. So I can pull the shoulder more, but it gets super tired. Exhale, come on up. Bend your right knee, put your right foot to your inner left thigh. Janu Sirsasana, modified form. Right hand to the outer left calf. I know we just did this side. Left arm grabs the right tricep bicep area. You can do palm up there, palm down. It's fine. Lift your spine up. Remember, even though your right leg isn't straight, it's active. Push your right foot into the floor as hard as you can. That doesn't mean push your knee down. Push your foot down. Your knee will go down over time. Push your left heel down so your hamstring stabilizes. And then pull with the right arm, bending the elbow, pull with the left arm, do the widening of your upper back, and then extend the upper back. Because one of the things that locks our mid and lower back up in our folds and keeps us from being able to twist from here, wink, wink, FYI later, is the inability of our upper spine to move because that muscle is so locked up. Hold that, not up. And remember, it's easy to pull like your shoulders towards your ears. Don't. Shoulders go away from the ears because the shoulders are going wide away from each other, not forward. Take a couple breaths. Good extensions, everybody. Push your right foot down, push your left foot down. Make your legs active so anything that happens to your spine and your back, how you really deeply work the nerves in these upper back areas. Wink, wink, for those of you who are in need. You know who you are. Come on up. Switch legs. But if then you don't get angry about it. You and forward folds, right? Right leg straight, left foot touches your inner right thigh. And I know it might feel like we're moving fast. I want to give you the full series because this is being recorded. Yeah, it is. I didn't accidentally forget to hit the button. This is worth practicing a lot. This will be on online. Left hand reaches for right outer calf. Huh? This will be on the final, Tristan says. If you read the syllabus, you would know it. Left hand grabs the, there's no syllabus. Right hand grabs left tricep bicep. Don't want to scare anybody. Spine long to start, and then pull, create the pull with the arms. Really bend the elbows out wide and create that extension of the upper back widening, and then fold forward. Take the hardness out of your abdomen. Put the work in your legs. Push your feet harder into the floor. I'm getting awfully nasally. I'm going to hate hearing this later. Don't shrug your shoulders up to your ears to compensate for a tight upper back. Pull elbows wider and think about your shoulder blades, the top of them going away from each other. If I put my fingers right between Tristan on the edge of her shoulder blades and push them apart, she folds deeper because it releases her whole back. I've said for years, the upper back is probably the tightest part on all of us, and it stops us from being able to move our whole body at points. If you've ever seen the elderly or anyone with an upper spinal column injury, or like the really bad hunchback, they don't move super quick. Not that I've seen it. Someone could probably send me a video of like round back grandpa doing parkour, but broaden those shoulder blades by pulling on each arm, the left arm pulling on your leg to help you in the forward fold. Push your feet into the floor. Take a nice deep breath or two. Come on up. Lovely. Stretch your left leg straight. Bend your right knee. Take your, let's leave it there. Right knee bent, right foot flat to the floor. So with that in mind, when you take your right elbow to the inside of your knee, Maritrasana, you have to think about your shoulder blade in the same way you just did with that last pose. So let's do that. Take your right hand and grab your left tricep, just above the elbow, like so. Push your right foot hard into the floor so this knee doesn't go swinging. When you try to twist, my left hand is just going to lay on my left thigh, like Tristan's is in the picture there. I'm just going to pull with my right arm and start to rotate my body to the left. My right elbow kind of presses into the knee, not a whole lot. I'm really just trying to pull the flesh of this arm. I'm using my right hand pulling on my left arm to try and twist. And then I push the elbow into the arm to go deeper. Oh, I just gave myself a rib cramp. What the? See, if we were in a classroom, if Tristan was really on point, she would say she was happy for me. So all of you get that now. Keep that at home for later. You can go back and watch this on YouTube and like have that cathartic moment. Pull with that right hand on using that left arm, kind of like you would use a rope or something to help you twist, because that'll pull that left shoulder blade open. Push the right elbow into the leg and just rotate those ribs any degree. Push your feet hard into the floor. There you go. Just let it hang and pull. Yeah, like that. Now push the elbow into the knee. There he is. Feel that? So what you're doing is you're actually making the twist, your rib cage, push along the muscles of your left lateral back. You're not doing this about the spine as much. You're moving the rib cage around inside the muscle of the body, and you're pulling that left shoulder blade pretty long. So keep the twist. Take your right hand, let go of your left arm, and now take your left fingers just behind you onto the bolster and twist a little deeper. But can you still keep the ribs moving into that left flesh as you twist, instead of your right shoulder coming forward, right? This is not good. The chest rotating open with the shoulder staying down is better. It takes a little bit to work and get this action figured out, because this is about moving your bone structure around. Feels better now, doesn't it? So hold this for a couple more breaths, just with the right elbow pressing, the left arm resting behind us. Feel what's doing most of the work. Feel where the stretch is, if any. And then take a breath, reach your left arm back, touch your left thigh. Right hand grabs the tricep, and now pull on the arm to pull your ribs around. Pull your ribs around while you're pulling on that arm. Feel the difference? Feel where the twist is, feel what's moving, feel where you can breathe. For me, as you now know on camera, I get a really weird cramp stitch in my left rib cage right about where the latissimus dorsi sweeps up towards the arm. Pull. Now pull your ribs that way. There you go. Difference. All right, switch your legs up. This is very tricky. This is not a thing you pick up real fast, because tendency is to twist from our shoulders and neck, which is something I've tried to help people not do as much, because when you twist from your shoulder and neck, you're just kind of putting pressure on only certain vertebrae of your back. You're compressing your neck. Left elbow touches the inner left knee, left hand grabs the right tricep, right hand just lays on your thigh. When I pull with my left arm on my right arm, I pull my left shoulder blade down my back, and I let my right arm just kind of hang. And I pull my right ribs to the right as I do so. So what you're trying to do is teach yourself to twist your core and your ribs first, and your shoulders, head, and neck last. It'd be like if a teacher held you by the shoulders and had you just rotate your ribs the whole time while trying to keep your shoulders perfectly still. It takes a little bit of experimentation. Keep going, keep breathing. We'll do the normal version in a moment. Now just keep your twist as much as you keep your twist, as whatever you got. Take your right hand behind you and then press with your arm and see how much more you get, or if you only start to feel your neck and shoulder move. If you only feel your neck and shoulder, then you know that you've only been torquing your neck and shoulder. You're not actually moving your spine. This is about isolating, moving the tighter muscle sets. Push your feet into the floor. Right hand touches your right thigh. Keep your twist. Grab your left hand, grabbing your right tricep. Pull on that arm. You're trying to pull the shoulder away from your back, but the back is still working hard into the twist on its own strength, and the left arm can press into the knee a little. I started to kind of figure this out working on this when I started to have a lot of jaw pain, and I started to actually change the clicking, the TMJ in my right jaw by moving this. Switch your hands there, Pratima. Left hand grabs right tricep, dear, and pulls the right arm. There you go. Now, right arm in front of you, because you're pulling the right arm this way. And your ribs are twisting the opposite. There you go. Pull that arm towards your foot, and then pull your ribs away from your foot. There you go. Feel it. Exhale and twist. Stretch your left leg straight, bend your right knee. Right foot flat to the floor. Now, at the end of your left leg is your left foot, and that's ultimately what we want to get towards. But working the widening of the upper back and into a twist. There is a pose that already does that, but is quite challenging for a lot of us. We've already done all the pieces. If you know you are tight in the shoulders, have a yoga strap nearby, behind your hips, close to your buttock that you can grab a hold of. Just lay it from across the back side of you. As Tristan's demoing right now, if I get my body out of the way. Got it right here. Right foot flat to the floor. Like that. Take your right arm around your right knee and shin bone. Take your left hand and grab near your right elbow. You can grab the forearm or the elbow, it doesn't matter right now. Pull and lift. So you're pulling that knee towards you, you're picking your chest up. There's your straight spine. Now roll your right shoulder forward, pulling with your left hand. You're trying to pull that right arm, like that arm deeper around the knee. And then stretch forward, pull with your right arm and try to reach for your left foot with your left hand. So you've got that big, broad shoulder blade on your right side and your left side. This takes the shoulders going wide. Try not to let them come to your neck. If you can't reach your left foot, don't worry, we won't be here long. Now take your right arm, feel that width of that shoulder. Take your right arm and try to put your right elbow in front of your right knee. You may not reach it. And if it can't, notice that when you put your arm on the inside, how your shoulder came up to your neck. Remember when we were doing this and pulling into the deep bend, we could move our upper chest into it. Don't try to hold rigidly straight. So once you have a hold of it with your left hand and you move that arm to the inside and it doesn't quite hit the front of the knee, it's okay to grab your left arm with your right arm. Do the same thing we did earlier. Bend the elbows wide so you feel your shoulder blades move, your upper back move, and go deeper to then get your arm in front of that shin bone. Nice. If you cannot get your arm in front of your shin bone and you feel a stretch and you're pushing and you're stretching your upper back and your legs, you don't have to go any further. You're deep in the pose already. For those of you that have your arm in front of your shin bone, take your right arm and reach around your shin for your right outer hip. There you go, right? Yeah, there you go, right? Take your left hand back behind you and reach for your right wrist. You probably won't get it, but you can grab your strap. That's why I said right across the hips. So once you have a hold of your strap or your own hands or wrist, don't pull the arms apart because that squeezes the shoulder blades together. Best you can, stretching your heart out, lift your chest up and twist to the left as deep as you can, pushing the right bicep towards the inner right thigh. So you get that twist. Move your shoulder blades down in your back to rotate the upper thoracic. Good. How's that? And breathe. Roll your left ribs up in front. Oh, it can give you a total diaphragm cramp. make you feel like you can't breathe as deep. So once you're here, you're in the forward part. Twist. There you go. Push your right foot, left foot down. Experiment, can you push your right arm into the leg to draw you towards the foot while you twist? Can you make this about making that upper right shoulder blade get some movement to it first? Love it. All right, untwist, switch your legs. Left arm wraps around the left knee. Right hand grabs left forearm, pull on it so you feel that left shoulder blade broaden. That knee pulls in front of you a little bit. You're using your leg kind of as a center point to stretch the back. Keep that leg hooked, stretch forward. So the shoulders are broad, back is long. Push your foot to the floor. Push your feet down. Take your left arm to the inside of the leg towards the front shin. Tristan's doing a good job of demoing that. Again, if you can't get your arm in front like this, don't be afraid to grab your right tricep bicep and pull the elbows apart to start stretching your rib cage deeper into it to then hook the arm. This isn't about your shoulder mobility, it's about your upper back mobility. Then you wrap the arm around the leg, then the other arm around your back. Grab your strap or grab each hand. Push your left bicep into your leg. Push your left arm into your leg fairly firm. Roll the right ribs up. As much as you can, you twist your ribs to the right, and then you keep pressing your arm into your leg to stretch your chest down towards the foot as you twist it. Hold the pose and breathe. Try not to pull your shoulders to your neck. Draw your shoulders down and wide to help move your upper back deeper into the pose. This is challenging to even think about moving the body parts in this way because it is so anatomically and physiologically opposite of what we do when we sit down and slouch. But there's a lot of powerful fixing, correcting in the body by doing this. Exhale, come on up. Stretch both legs straight. Bend your right knee. Take your right ankle up onto your left thigh. Close as you can get to the hip joint comfortably without putting pressure unduly on the knee. The foot is pointed. As you can see, Tris here. The foot is nicely pointed. It's not pulled back. She's going to take her foot, she's going to take her hand and try to roll the sole of the foot up to the ceiling a little bit. Try and twist that up. While you're here, push that foot into the floor, the left one. Push the right foot into your thigh. Don't push your knee down, that puts undue pressure on the joint. But flex your thigh, the right one and left, and push your right ankle into your thigh bone. If you can, and this is where it gets tricky, your right hand goes back and tries to reach your right foot. It probably won't, but if it doesn't, look at her, she's going for it. If it doesn't, you can use a strap. Try to grab your big toe or your foot. If you can't, use a strap around your foot and go back there. And hold. Usually you grab your big toe and you pray. Holding onto the big toe, push your right foot into the left thigh again. It took a little bit of wiggling for a lot of us to get a hold of it. And then here's the fun part. Right arm pulls on the foot towards your right. So your right hand is trying to pull out to the side. So your shoulder blade has to open to the side. It's easy to hang out here, twist it to the right. Pull with that right arm, flex that bicep, pull like you're trying to pull the foot to the right through you. So your chest comes forward, and then exhale, extend forward. Left hand, grab your right knee. Don't push down, please. Pull to the left a little bit, bending your left elbow so your left shoulder moves, and stretch downward as best you can towards the left foot. Left arm pulls to the left, bending the left elbows, Triss is doing. Right hand pulls to the right. So all this upper back has to do some work. And then you might go, I can't even move forward, Dustin. That's fine. You're probably going to feel it as you just do any level of extension to this. Stretch forward, Ryan. I know you can go. There you go. Well done, Pratima. Nice. Very nice, Glenda. Stretch forward a little bit, Lena. Give me something even from there. All movement is movement. Yeah, it's really good. This is how you create healthy forward fold with a rounded upper back. The spine is not supposed to be straight. This is how you get very comfortable in this. I can, on my good days, if I warm up a little bit, Tristan could stand on my back and I could lay there because my upper back is wide and my rib cage is very soft on my lungs. This will change a lot of the neck and shoulder girdle. It is not comfortable in the beginning. I don't even know when it gets comfortable. I'll let you know when it hits there. But it is effective in changing your neck, your jaw, and your headaches. I cannot emphasize this enough, especially if you have a lot of spinal compression or nerve issues. This will work. I have done it to myself a lot, or some variation of this. Come on up. This also teaches you how to do the two arms behind your back, grabbing your foot stuff in like full lotus. Left ankle on right thigh. If you're getting warm in the body doing seated forward folds, you're doing them correctly. Healthy forward folds open up the entire circulatory system and really get your blood pumping. The yogis in the Himalayan mountains do a lot of stuff like this because of the heat it generates. Left arm goes behind you. Grab that big toe or grab that strap. Right leg long. Press the right foot into the floor. Press your left foot into your right thigh. Don't push your knee down. Extend forward a little bit. Feel your hip move, your back move, your hamstring move. Right hand grabs your left knee, elbow bent, pulling to the right. Left hand, left elbow bent, pulling to the left. So your shoulders and back have to move in tandem. Pull this arm first. No, this way. Left arm pulls to the left. Now, bend your right up. Now, see the difference? Get that. Left arm very active, pulling to the left. The left elbow is trying to drag that foot through your body. Right arm pulling firm, not down, but across. Straight deep into that back. And breathe. Go to whatever depth of down you got. And take your time and breathe into it. If you feel uneven, that's not abnormal, but try to extend forward. One side of our back is tighter than the other. And when we do seated forward folds, it's still tight. It pulls us off alignment. Doing this pose where you variate the shoulder and the back like this will work the different sections of your back to ultimately let both sides of your spine be free to go into the fold. So it looks like for a lot of us, like I know that some of you are similar to me, so I can see who the right-handed people are. So Glenda, pull more with your left arm. So your ribs twist. Pratima, same instruction. Pull more with your left arm, dear. Yeah. There you go. Not back, across. Pull with your left elbow to the wall where that nice plant is. Yeah, like that. And now pull with your right arm to pull your right ribs towards your right thigh. That's it. Now stretch forward, dear. Wonderful. Nice, Ryan. Good. Sandra, very nice, friend. You got it, big guy. Exhale, come on up. Lay on your back. Prop yourself up with a bolster blanket under your knees if you like, or under your head. Get your restorative time. Restorative, I think, was hard for me because I was really into like being super competitive in my earliest days of yoga with everybody. I couldn't compete in restorative. One of the best things I learned was just let it be about me and for me. And that's what one of the best parts about this practice is. This is for you, my friends. All right. Let the eyes close, tongue away from the roof of the mouth, and check in with yourself. Now that you know you're close to the end, check in with all the things that you're already thinking about doing. You're not even off the mat yet, but you're already out the door. Pull yourself back into now. How did you feel? How do you feel? What have you experienced? So that when you meet with somebody who might share in the same poses, you might share in the same practice, who might have the same color yoga mat, who knows? You're going to have the words and you're going to have the substance to share a story with, your story. And they're going to share theirs, and you've made a community. You didn't do it for them. You didn't do it for that reason alone. But because you did it for you, you might just touch somebody else. I share the stories about my pain and my progress in my teaching and outside of it. Not just because I like to hear the sound of my own voice, but because I know that every so often, someone hears something that they can connect with. And they share theirs. And we have community. So my friends, each deep breath in, slow breath out. Listen to your body. Hear what it says. Hear what your practice has been to you. And practice the other part of being a community, listening. And rest until I ring the bell and enjoy the fruits of your yogic practice.